to do something. So if you don't see it, just let me know, guys.
Okay.
It's loading in now.
Yeah, let's just give it a moment.
It's still loading, so I guess it's transferring data. I remember last time I had to go to my page and make it public, so maybe I have to do that again, you know? So let's see. So it's definitely not live on my page yet.
Okay.
Not just yet.
Just give me a second because the computer's really.
Laura, how do you hide yourself? What you just did? How do you hide?
I put stop video. You know,
Okay.
sometimes you gotta go back and forth with that sometimes,
Right.
you know.
So I need to, while y'all figuring out, I need to make me a cup of coffee.
Okay. Yeah, I just made mine.
Listen.
But I'm drinking decaf. These
Got
people
it.
told me I
So,
can't.
but I'll still be on, right? When I click stop video, I'll still be on. Just when
Oh,
I-
we are
Yes,
live, but it's not public, so let me make it public. Hold on. It says I'm live, but I'm only live probably to me. Let me just see. So we'll say edit audience. It's just taking a minute, so make it public because it's live on the other stations. It's just not live yet. Now it's gonna be live. Okay, so someone just texted me and said, yes, you are live. All right, that's Kenya, right? Hey, Kenya, I can't see myself. Just checking. Are we live? There we are. Okay, a couple of pages. Yeah.
It's official. It's official. We are live. Yes, we are. We're just right now sharing on our pages. We're live on platforms. We are Zoom live on Facebook and YouTube.
Yeah.
Check us out. We're on Restream. We're on Facebook. We're on YouTube. We are live. And we're just sharing the link on our respective pages. Thank you so much for joining. Thank you for being here this evening. Thank you for being at our live show, The Talk Storm.
Yeah.
I love that title. I do. I love it. It's so dope.
All right.
So yeah, we're giving people time to join us. We know many people that said they're going to be here. We are here. We're live. Thank you so much for joining. Just give me a few minutes just to come and join our live, join our Talk Storm, our conversation, our honest conversations that we've been having for a few months, the past few months, right? Right, Tim? It's been a couple of months.
Time flies, man. Time flies. A few months. Wow.
Yeah, it's been a couple of months now. We getting it.
Yes.
Yeah.
So now, for anybody that's viewing or wants to view, or if you're on my page as well, feel free. From whatever page, it's all going to point to the same live, the Talk Storm. So I just shared the link on my page.
And I shared it on mine also.
So we are all over the place now. We're exactly where we want to be.
And to brother, tell them what's happening to the numbers, man. God is blessing us.
Well, I mean, quite honestly, it's mind blowing because we always say this, and I got to repeat this. This is organic. This is natural. This is not something that's contrived. Not something that we've been planning and writing out and taking notes on to prepare for months or years or anything like that. But guess what? God has prepared us to all be here at this appointed time. And it happened naturally. And we're just so grateful at the support, the people that's been reaching out, giving commentary, giving feedback, sharing their stories. You know, we were on calls with people yes, it's important for us. So we carve out time throughout the week. We're at this. We're at this, and this is very important to us. And with that, we're getting the viewership and the numbers to show in a short period of time. What T was it like 500 views? Thank you for the support.
505 views, man.
Yeah,
That's a growth, man.
absolutely. It's so important. I mean, it's dope. Like it happens so quickly. And then I think, one thing I want to be clear about, we talked about this a little bit, T and I, and we talked about this backstage. It's not just a matter of liking and commenting and subscribing just for the sake of doing that. It's not a popularity contest. We know why we're gathered here. We're gathered here because, we're talking about years and generations of unchecked abuse that was allowed in churches, families, communities, and we're saying no more. T is the author of a book that's entitled Generational Curses No More. So we're here for that reason. And there's a lot of people that are saying, how can I help? You can help by liking, commenting, and sharing and subscribing, because quite honestly, the way the algorithm works, and we're just going to get technical right here, is that each one teach one, reach one, right? We can't reach everybody because we're not friends with everybody that's in different groups of people. So if you share, the algorithm adjusts to your viewership and the people connected to you, and then it starts trickling and reaching a broader base, a broader amount of people. And we know how that works with social media. So it's very important to us. And we're grateful that people are reaching out and saying, how can I help? That is exactly how you can. You may not be ready to share your story publicly, and that's fine. We want you to be comfortable. We want you to be ready. We also care about the spaces you share your important issues with. Like, we want you to share in safe spaces. We want to be a safe space for you, but if it doesn't work, it may be some other space that works, whatever the case may be. But if you're about this movement right here, where we are like really talking things out and we are publicly healing, having healing conversations, we want to be able to discontinue what's been going on and what's been allowed to go on for so many years, and we are saying no more. So if you want to be a part of that, it's basically coming down to love, right? We love our people, we love each other, we love our family, we love our communities. We want to grow and thrive and heal. And again, this is an appeal to everybody. Like, comment, share, subscribe, because you will be a part of the solution. That's a guarantee. There's somebody that may not see it from my page, that when you share it or when you like it, they're going to see it. And so you've opened up possibly a space for that person to be free and liberated. So join us. We are so happy that you're here this evening. Continue to come, because we're going to continue to come and be here and show up for you. Show up for us. We thank you. Thank you so much. Tim, I'm so happy to be here. What's going on, family?
I'm excited. I was away last time, and you guys, oh man, I'm just blessed by what God allowed you all to do. As you know, I'm just glad to be here. I went through a surgery that was different, and I'm still struggling with how to talk correctly or T's way. And it was a good thing to go through what I had gone through, but only God allowed it to be so that we can continue the work more effectively, more comfortably, and just, giving thanks to God that I got through the surgery and with no problems. So as I process, you will see me just a little bit. Sometimes there's a little discomfort, but we're going to do all we can tonight, because I'm excited, because I heard that there's some heavy hitter questions that we're going to have to deal with tonight. So I'm ready for whatever. Let's listen. I don't have no fear, right, Timmy?
Definitely.
Why fear? And let me say to you once again how proud I am of you for doing this. I'm proud of you for having enough courage to create a safe space for us to have a conversation, to have the conversation that is long overdue.
Yes.
So, and I have to say, well, two things. Of course, I have the book. I have it here. I picked it up several times, and I have to admit,
It's heavy. I know.
Heavy. It's heavy, babe. It's heavy to the point where I get emotional because when I read it, because I was there, like I relive it all over again. I have to put the book down. I have to put it down because it's
Do you know Timmy? Kenya, my best friend, she's the editor of the book. She had to walk away for 6 days and ask the Lord for strength to continue.
That's a lot. And she wasn't even there, so to speak. So I can imagine. But
And I had the same takeaway, Tim. Sorry.
Yeah, no problem.
I definitely, just to briefly interject, I definitely had the same experience because, you know, we're family. So our stories overlap. We know the people, we know the characters, we know the situations, we know some of it. And then when you have it elaborated on, it's like, whoa,
Right.
But I didn't know that part.
Yeah. And my thing has been like, okay, you know, when I start reading it and those emotions start coming back again, it's like, okay, do I want to live? Do I want to remember this right now? Do I want to relive this right now? Because it's so heavy, but it's a part of the healing. I have, you know, what I'm willing to do is allow myself to go through the pain again, because ultimately on the other side of it, I know that there's healing.
Right.
When you confess, when you talk, when you get it out of you, you know, that's what the healing is. We have to go through the process of healing, and be willing to confront the pain in order to get to the healing part of it. So yeah.
Absolutely. And I think it was something you mentioned before, Tim. You said something about being uncomfortable to get comfortable or something to that effect we talked about for a while. And it's like it really is, it's painful, it's intense, it's deep, it's heavy. But the truth is that with that clarity and with the honesty and just unpacking certain things that you've experienced, it actually just opens up a new space for you. A space of a weight kind of gets off of your shoulder.
Right.
Take a pause. Something happened where I don't see the live at all now. It said that it's stopped. Do you see that it's stopped? It said the Facebook Live is stopped.
It says, well,
Is it still rolling with us now? I don't see it at all.
Looks like it's still rolling to me, T. You're still live.
Yeah, it's saying it's stopped on here, and I don't know why it would say that, but Deborah, can you see anything? Guys, forgive me a second. It's just telling me that it's stopped, and I don't know why.
Well, it looks like, to me, it looks like it's still going.
Me too. T.
It's weird.
Can you ask somebody who's watching if they, you know, maybe they can?
Can't even see who's watching it.
Well, let me just say this. We're not sure if we're having technical difficulties because I actually see the live stream going right now on my page. If anybody is here that would be able to comment, like, or let us know what's going on. If you see on your end, if you see it playing on your end, let us know.
Yeah, it came back.
Okay.
Well, on my page, yes, on my page. It's you know.
Okay, so for me, it never left. So maybe just something blinked out on your side.
Yeah.
But I want to say, getting back to the conversation, the thought that I had was, it's like going through having a surgery where you have to go in and get cut, you know, and go through the pain of the surgery, the process of the surgery, but ultimately the healing part is going to hurt in the beginning, but eventually you'll get to it being not so painful again. So, but if we're willing to heal, then it's going to be painful.
Yeah, it is.
During the process of having the surgery. You know what I mean? So, yeah.
Definitely. And let me just say, T, I wanted to say real quick, just to back up just a little bit, thanks everybody for your prayers, because we did mention on our last episode that, you know, we were asking for prayers for T. And as you can say, as she said, and as you can see, successful surgery. So I just want to put that out there. Thank you everybody for your prayers, for your well wishes. that you sent on our way and her way. And so she's back, and we are here because for a few reasons. Obviously, we're broadcasting the show, The Talk Storm, but we are here to highlight some things going on with this book. Okay, you see it? You see it? Okay. Generational curses, no more. So we're here to unpack some things, and we have some questions for the author. But first, where's everybody watching from? Where's everybody watching from? Where are our viewers? What's going on?
I see Kenya. She's been texting us because she's in class right now. I think she's not in class. I think what it is that she is she has a project or a classwork due. So she's been working on that, but popping in to give us some information. But I cannot see for some reason there's no I don't see any views.
Just trying to make sure that they are aware we are live. So what I'm doing is I am stating again, we are live. However, the show must go on. Thank you for joining here, now or later. Whatever comments, questions you may have, feel free to reach out. You can reach out to me on Messenger. Until his email, Arrington Designs, right? Arrington Designs at Gmail. So if you have any questions, or if you have any concerns, or you wanted to possibly talk or discuss with us or T, and T, your email, LMCK Enterprises, that's the email we're using?
Yes, ma'am. What a big old spot on my head from my window.
Awesome. As well as for T, her messenger is open as well. So if you have any questions, comments, concerns, again, if you want to share your story, if there's something that you want to discuss, a recommendation that you may have, or whatever the case may be, you just want to build and fellowship, whatever it may be, feel free to reach out. And we thank you again for whoever joins us now or later. We are looking forward to hearing from you. But thank you so much for being here. Kenya, thank you for holding us down. Thanks for the support.
Yeah.
Thank you, everybody, for support. Definitely. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually just pulling up my line of questioning, and still want to give people a little bit more time just to join us, a little bit more time to join us. We are ready to talk about generational curses no more. And T, so my first question, and I know a couple of things we've talked about, but I definitely wanted to bring this to the table because I'm curious, and I know a lot of people are curious, people that are interested in the book. And again, let me be clear, we are not going over the book line by line. We're seeking, and we would appreciate support for the book. You can always go on T's page and on the flyers that's on all of our pages. Put your phone up to that QR code and go ahead and get your copy, because we want you to be able to read it for yourself. There's a lot of stuff in between, but we're going to actually emphasize and touch on some items that we want to bring highlights on, right? Or some things that we want to talk about.
Ebook and regular paperback on Amazon and Barnes and Noble. So you have to put in Generational Curses No More, Letitia J. LaNier-Mckinnie, and it'll pop right up, okay?
Absolutely. So get your copy. Everybody, they're flying off the shelves. Everybody's curious about what's going on, and we want you to be able to have the answers to your curiosities as well. But here we go. Letitia LaNier-Mckinnie.
In a hot seat.
Generational Curses No More. Thank you for writing. Thank you for writing this book. I mean, this is the reason why we're here, gathered here. So thank you for your courage. I have to echo Tim on that because I'm absolutely amazed. Just at where everything's going. But the fact that you had it's a lot of people like, whoo, we finally get to a space where we can, tell our story kind of maybe to a friend or two, but to get on this public platform and share this information with what we call the dark secrets of family, community, and church life. Wow, what boldness. And you are certainly forced to be reckoned with. So I want to say congratulations on your book again. Thank you. And firstly, I want to ask, what made you want to write this book?
In 2019, I had completed Today's Pastors, Yesterday's Kings. The Lord told me to do that in 2010. And I have been searching for a publisher and doing it the hard way. And while I was doing it, I realized Amazon was a way to do my own thing and try to work it that way. So while I was doing it, and my mother was always telling me, because mommy, she sure enough know how to encourage us. She pushed me.
Real.
She was so excited when I told her I finally published it. She's like, please send me some books, send me some books. I said, Mom, you know me, right? She said how long she gave me to Sister Mary and everybody else. Well, once we did that, and forgive me if I'm a little difficult with speaking as fast as I am, but we can do all things through Christ that strengthens us.
Take your time.
So Mommy got the book and we had a long discussion, and I was just like, Mommy, you got to write your book and everything. She was like, T, I know. I said, Mommy, I can help you. So just finish this book. Well, through that conversation, I got inspired in my soul to write my own book. So I just started writing. But see, that first, even before that, I had a whole 1 page done for a long time. So I had to go through every email, every document to see if I could find that first page. I did. Now was the time, because Mommy's speaking about it. And I said, Mommy, since I already did this one and I published it, let me help you do yours. And it really pumped me up to finish from that first 1 page for a long time. I need to go back to. So I just began to write until God was uncovering my life, and I didn't realize that He started the initial seed of writing it, and then He finished it because He told me when the book was finished.
Wow.
So,
it was written before it was written, but you made it happen.
Wow.
Glory.
Absolutely. Well, I want to read an excerpt from page 17. And I'm starting at the bottom, and excuse me, I'm going to skip around for those who do have the book. I'm definitely skipping around. We're not able to cover all of these pages on this show, right? So bear with me. Page 7. Huh?
219 or more pages. Lord Jesus.
Oh yeah, but we still can't cover 219. We have a 5-hour episode. You want a 5-hour episode? So at the bottom, the last paragraph. Just follow me. If you have the book, of course, just give me time to be able to get your book and get your page marker. To make it clear, that was not the first time the enemy infiltrated my youth, exposing an unhealthy sexual growth. I also remember one day when my sister and I were playing house. My sister was curious about the difference between my body and hers. There was a room adjacent to the bathroom which had this tall dresser. My sister and I were playing in that room. She said to me, because I had a large belly button, which was an outside hernia from birth, that I was a boy, and she wanted me to insert my belly button into her privates. Well, I tried, and it was hard to do, but she told me I had to do it. I was only 4 years old at the time, and she was my big sister. For some reason, things were not allowed to grow and mature naturally for me. I have discovered that the enemy had it out for me since birth and throughout my childhood. He seemed to use the children around me. One in particular was my own oldest sister. I know this is heavy, but this is my truth. At some point, I intentionally pushed those memories way back in my mind, never to remember, so I thought. Woo!
Wow.
It just got stop that while you was reading.
I know it was really intense, but you said it's heavy. It is heavy, but we have to start at the origins. You know, I feel like for that healing conversation, to occur, we got to pluck up the roots.
Yeah.
And that was mighty bold of you to say that. And, you know, I'm not even going to go into speculation, but that begs to differ. I mean, not begs to differ. It begs to question what happens to a child for that child to do that to another child. And we'll just leave that question there. But let me say, is this the beginning? So this is the beginning of what you called in your book an unhealthy sexual growth? You said you were 4 when this happened?
Yeah, I was 4. Is Tim all right? Because his page is frozen or something went wrong. Timmy, beautiful beard.
Oh, Tim's frozen.
Look, he had a woosah. He needed to move a moment to breathe. He's still stuck in that position. He'll probably come back in.
Okay, so we're gonna see. He'll probably come back in. Sometimes we got to go out to come back in when it freezes. So everybody just bear with us. We're just this is an intense conversation as well. And I know it also has an impact. It has an impact on all of us, but that impact to him, it's like when you read it again, it hits you again.
Yeah.
You know, and I've read that passage a few times and it hits me again and again. I understand you were 4 years old. I want to say, T, I can relate. I really can relate to the statement. At some point, I intentionally pushed those memories way back in my mind, never to remember, or so I thought.
Yeah.
Wow, that right there. I can say that I can relate to that in my own personal life because there's certain things that when it's talked about, it kind of comes rushing back. Yeah. And what I want to ask you is, it's a two-part question. Huh? Do you find that to be true for most or some of the survivors of abuse that you counsel as well? And part two, in your professional opinion, why do you think these tendencies to suppress are so common?
Well, there's various ways I can answer that. One of them, I'm just going to talk about me directly. Most of the time when people suppress those memories, because as a child, you know, you're told right from wrong. You're taught what God expects of you. You're taught what is sin. And we're born into sin, but we're shaped into iniquity. So sin is a part of our nature. So the first thing for me is I'm going to get in trouble because I'm doing something that I shouldn't be doing. So then I say, well, I don't want mommy to know, so I'll keep that as a secret. And then we suppress it because no one else around us is really talking about it to let us know there's something in our head or something that we've done or something we've been involved in. And then if they are, you're being reprimanded. So it's the fear of a child as they grow on whether they're going to get in trouble or not. And I learned in developmental psychology is that not only are we born sexual beings, and that's what our body is, but it is that stage is too early to actually indulge in it because you don't understand what's going on. And literally, a fruit has been bitten. And that gives you exposure to things in your mind and your psyche and your physicality that says to you, I like it, but I'm scared. Or that felt good, but it felt bad at the same time. What's wrong with what just happened to me? So the challenge we have as children growing up to be young adults, to then to be adults, the struggle with that is we suppress it simply because it's taboo. We're scared of the consequence, the possible consequence, because we think we did something bad, you know? So, and when I talk to, when I counsel different ones, a lot of the times people suppress it. Another reason is because to them, it was so bad. They have been exposed to what should be right, that when wrong happens, they do not want to utter wrong that has happened to them. And that causes so many other emotions and different things to arise. So honestly speaking, there's various reasons why people will suppress that memory. And then another thing is, let me just tell y'all the truth about God. I think sometimes for me, in the one example that we'll talk about later, God just wanted me to live again. It's like he cleared my memory of the pain of it, because now I'm getting older and it's still being done in a different person. And so that memory, God said, let me take, I believe for me, let me just talk about my situation, because I'm grateful that God considered me and to allow me to forget it so that I can move on. Although I struggled with the rest of my life because of it, he still allowed me to, it sort of got buried. And I can tell you exactly the date it woke itself up. So go ahead. That's in the book.
Yeah, and that was really a lot, because I was following everything and I'm like, we really didn't have the spaces to have these conversations. It's like now what I see and I'm grateful for with this current generation, I guess they call them the Zers, Generation Z, and the generations to come is, the social media aspect, I think, has a lot to do with people breaking free from the silence, because it's like they're hearing and they're seeing and observing, wow, there's people in this church that went through the same thing, in this community, in this family, in this world. I mean, wherever it is, in this part of the world. And it's like that relatability, I feel, is a big part of someone finding a comfort to tell their story. I feel the relatability is a big part because we feel so isolated in those moments.
You do. Because the predator is telling you, don't tell them. That's enough. They're manipulating you. They are putting fear in your heart. Like Timmy said one time, one of your shows, they use so many different tactics that you say you're going to be quiet at times, but they're giving you reasons why you should be quiet.
Control. It's control.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And the postulating and the what word did we use? The molding. It's another word that we use. Grooming. And also, like, it doesn't occur to you sometimes that there's other people that's at the same time, not only going through the same thing, but going through the same thing, possibly at the hands of the same person.
Come on.
Doing it to you.
Come on. Right.
Comments, guys, and people saying hi. So
wow. And T, I want to speak on that because you know what?
Yes.
That whole story of abuse, it's not just, it's a sexual part, and then also the physical and the violent, women that are subjected to domestic abuse. I know some women that was in church that was going through the same exact thing, and they never exchanged stories to say, how can we get out of this? Nobody. And you know what? That whole thing of what happens in this home stays in this home.
It gotta stop.
That has to stop. That was poisonous. That was one of the most poisonous things we've learned in that generation. Seriously.
And T, before you acknowledge the people that are commenting, I want to also quickly say what I love is that having these kind of conversations, and now even with us having social, this whole thing with social media, to me, it actually frees us from the embarrassment of it.
Yes.
That's what pulled out earlier.
Absolutely. Because again, you realize that you're not alone. And you've been feeling like you're alone,
for so long.
Because you were embarrassed.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You talking about like you were?
Yeah, you were embarrassed. You thought that it's something you did that you did that was wrong.
Your fault, right.
And your mind starts playing tricks with you. Maybe you wanted it. And there's a whole bunch of other stuff that goes on, but we wasn't in an environment that allowed us to be able to thrive in that area. To be able to speak on that, and we're going to go there, T, because we got some things we got to cover on this line of questioning, and you're going to see how things have changed, though. There's small babies that are now speaking their truths. T, right? We're going to go there. Because that's a part of the curse. That's the part of breaking generational curses, because now, and T has an example, a real life example of a 3-year-old that told her what was happening to her. How about that? That's a new day. It's a new day, guys. Come on, let's go. I'm ready. Let's acknowledge the people who have joined us. I see Fifi. I love you, Fee. Thank you so much for your support. Thank you for joining. She said, hey, family.
Yes.
I'm just trying to make sure we are still on. Okay, yeah, we're still on. We're still on, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm hoping. You see it?
I don't know where the stream went. Do you see it on your page?
I don't know why it keeps happening. Like it's been dropping today saying your live is ended.
Okay, well, I'm not exactly sure, but whoever else is commenting, please bear with us. We will definitely at some point be able to acknowledge your comments and your presence here and your support of the Talk Storm. And also, if you would like to, in the meantime, you can send us a message. If for any reason you're not able to put a comment on the live stream, if anything blanks out, send me or T a message on Messenger and Facebook, just so that we can be able to make sure that you're heard or whatever you're saying to us is addressed and acknowledged. Thank you so much for joining. Thanks, Fee. We love you. We love everybody that's joining now and the ones that's watching silently. And we love the ones that's going to join us later on. So thank you so much. T, are we ready to go?
Yeah, I'm ready. I'm thinking we're here.
Okay, good. All right, so you know what? There's a few things we're talking about that leads to my next passage, or the next passage that I want to actually read through, which is page 18. And I'm starting at the bottom again.
Okay.
Through those times, I began to feel ugly, so I ate. Not just food, which I was not fond of, but anything sweet. I remember my big sister would ask for my food and I would ask for her dessert. It was a great swap for me. There would be times that I would sneak into the refrigerator at night and steal peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. Oh, sweets, that was my thing. My self-esteem became so low that I did not care too much. I would avoid looking in a mirror at myself except to do my hair. But every time I saw my reflection, I hated what I saw. I am certain this reaction in my self-esteem journey was directly from me seeing my mom. She used to look in the mirror at her gorgeous self and say, "You are so ugly." I would say to myself, who is she looking at? Whenever I looked at her, I only saw the most beautiful woman ever. That's my mommy. No one compared to her. She appeared to be the epitome of beauty. Why would she, of all people, come to that conclusion? Now, here I am repeating just what I heard from her to myself about myself. But to me, it was true. Let's sit there for a second.
Read something, I feel like, woo. Does it feel like you said, Timmy, you're living it again? It's just
Yeah, like it's like when I read it, it's like I'm reading it again.
Yeah.
like, woo.
It's really, really intense. It's intense. And this is a coming of age. Generational Curses No More is also a story, a coming of age story of T's story. This is her experience and her coming of age. And a lot of us in some way or another may be able to relate to those issues we had as we were trying to develop into ourselves with our self-esteem. I want to ask you, T, explain the connection and the suppression of memories of your abuse and trauma and your self-image and self-esteem. I want to know, how did everything tie in? And where do you see the connection? I know you mentioned about the beauty of, and I'm going to say for the purpose of this interview, I'm going to say the purpose of your mother, but everybody that's watching, you know, that's our mom. But yeah, you explained that part, but in the connection of the suppression of the memories of your abuse and trauma and your self-image.
Well, you know, the first thing with abuse, and y'all know I say this constantly, is the name calling. If you can call me out my name, my model's been my whole life. If you can call me out my name, you can smack the boo-boo out of me. That's my brain. That's since I was a little girl, name calling felt like you punched me in my face, right? So that was a lot. It was a lot in my household. My father called my mother. I got one chapter that just lists every single name I remember that she had from his mouth. Worst vile names that you can call a woman, and that you're supposed to love, and that you're having a lot of children by. So those names were doing what? Depositing seeds. And the abuse of the emotional part was whenever he would call her names, it affected me. Why? Because those seeds was depositing her, but she was responding to them. And as she responded to them and hating herself because of those names, it began to infiltrate T. So I could never look at myself in the mirror and see beauty. I was scared of what I would see. So when a mirror or a camera came my way, I turned my head. I didn't want to see it. I would make sure I walked past it. So now, since I'm gaining weight, and I'm not that cute little T-bone, right? So now T is gaining weight and getting a little darker around the neck, because you know, when you start getting a little chunky, anybody ever been there, you start getting dark around your neck. I don't got it now. Some about now that don't do the darkness, but when I was growing up, I don't know if that was puberty or what. But as a big chick, a big chick as a little girl, you start getting this darkness around your neck, and all that stuff started affecting you. And so I have to try to keep my hair up. Never felt beautiful. Had to get a jerry curl. Had to do all types of things, but I never felt pretty enough So one day, walking in the bathroom, my mother saying to herself, she's ugly. I'm like, so that all ties into the abuse is not always a smack. It's that word that dropped the seed. And then that seed allows you to now start infiltrating yourself and having emotional battles with yourself that you can't see someone saying you're beautiful. You can't hear it because you've always been told that you're not.
And
So
because
I'm looking at this woman, she's gorgeous. The challenge is, he told me I look like her. I'm confused.
and T,
Yes, baby, go ahead.
let me just say let me say this right where you are, because life and death is in the power of the tongue.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
he beat her down so bad with his mouth and his
With your mouth, absolutely. The mouth is the tongue is it's a unruly, it's a weapon.
the tongue
It's a listen.
and out, and what the physical is the tongue and the words seep in and reflects out.
Yeah.
God, I just
Yeah,
got
man. Yeah. And
those seeds. Those are
and you know, when you were talking about the name, you know, it's crazy because you know, like Africans, from what I'm learning, is that they choose a name for their children. As a matter of fact, what's amazing is in a few weeks, my church is having a whole African renaming ceremony. And I'm excited to see what my African name is, but that's a whole nother topic. But the thing is,
I said, okay.
the thing is, you know, our parents come from the same parents, of course. And my mother also, your mom's sister, dealt with the same insecurities when it comes to names, to the point where even my mother, your mom, your mom's sister, she used to call us names, and not meaning harm, but it was what they were taught.
What they knew.
When we were called dummy, stupid, ugly, all that stuff, we really believed it. And what it does is it shapes the child. It shapes the way a child thinks about themselves. You feel ugly because you were named ugly. You were named stupid. You would name all the cuss words or whatever. So I had to mention that when you was talking about that, because again, we are family.
Yeah.
We identify with that whole thing of, you know, being called out of our names. Go ahead.
Absolutely. And you know what? I agree. And that just made me just brought me to a thought of how important, like how urgent and how on time this is right now. This has to stop, because guess what? The reason why we're able to be here in Hill Spaces, even discussing this trauma that was very hurtful for us as children, and hurts even now as an adult to really talk about. But one of the reasons why we're able to do that is because we're able to put things in a perspective. These women who loved us dearly and tried to give everything they could for us to have the lives that they didn't have, they were coming from wounded spaces themselves.
Yep.
And that's why we have to do what we're doing now. We have to empower the next generation, because those wounds trickle down. And it impacts the ones that come after, you know, even in spite of their best wishes for their children, because it's like they're programmed that way. And unfortunately, what my mother and Tim's mother, my auntie, have in common is that they were abused. Their life started off with abuse, first of all.
Absolutely.
And they were abused by the same man. And we're going to go there, by the same man, which was their stepfather. Read the book. Their stepfather, Roosevelt, the one that sat in the church and had position and leadership in the church, the one who played the devil. No, let's wonder about that. Who played the devil? Yeah, in the rapture. When
he did it so well, by the way.
And he did a great job.
It was really the devil.
Believable. It was believable.
It was believable. And for some reason, he didn't even have to audition. So the thing is that let's think about it. But it's so much tied into the history and generational thing going on. So I just want to say that's exactly we have to be here. Like, this is the appointed time, because this has to end. We don't want to be talking to these children the way that we were taught to. We don't want to, be subjected to certain environments and have children subjected to those environments that we've experienced.
Right.
So the buck stops now. And I have to pause just for a second, T. If it's possible, can you share this live on your page again? Because it's looking like we have cut off and that we don't have anything rolling. So I just wanted to know if you can pick up a new link. If you can send share a link so that we can pick that link up.
So I just got a text from Kenya, and Kenya just stated, I don't know why Facebook is acting crazy tonight, but I just got a text from Kenya, one of our constant, beautiful supporters. And she says, I believe I started to eat and find comfort because I didn't want to, she said, I did not want to draw that type of attention again. And the thing is that so many people, they get these certain habits and don't realize that those habits is coming from that hurt, that pain, that mouth being closed, not telling someone. I'm just going to share it again. I don't know why, but it's still on our page.
And it's on the cousins page, but however, it shows it cut off on mine. So I'm going to share the link from the cousins page because it says we're live again. So it's so weird.
Like all this
time. I know. Please bear with us, guys. We're definitely trying to get the hang of all this technology. And like I said, this wasn't planned for months and years on end. So we're kind of like, in some ways, we're freestyling some things. So please.
We are our own team.
We are our own team. So guess what? And let me just put this little plug in there. Not really quite a plug. I'm going to say it's an appeal, a call out. If you're good at this stuff and you want to join our team and be a part of something positive and good, help us out with the backstage stuff. Help us clean everything up. Yeah,
yes.
Production.
Yeah. What'd you say? Cuz?
The production.
The production. All of that. The backstage, behind the scenes stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. So if you're willing, if you're able, if you have any availability, or if you're able to carve out some time, or you just want to be a part of something good and positive, something that's a healing space, whatever the case may be, reach out, because we are not acting all prideful to say that we can't use any, type of recommendation, suggestions, or assistance. So please, if you feel the need, it may be you. It may be you the one to feel the need. But again, thanks for joining. We're going to give people a little more time just to rejoin.
Yeah, I have a question.
I don't want them to miss this second part of the interview.
I think something happened in Restream. Restream is
you're recording though. You're still recording, right? Yeah.
It's recording on here, so we might just share the recording.
That's how I would want to say we could just maybe later on also share the recording so that
It said my Facebook page was unable to connect. Now it's connected again.
Yeah, so I really feel, and I think I don't think I agree with Tim as well. They may not be able to see the link that I shared because it's in a private group, which is the First Cousins Retreat. So that was kind of pointless what I just did. I don't think that's going to work. So
share it.
Share the current link if possible. And what will happen is that unfortunately everybody may not be able to join us just yet right now. And be able to communicate, but we are always here, even if it's not specific right on time. We will come back to whatever your line of questioning is and acknowledge that as well. So I just wanted to give you time, T, to probably see if we could share a link here.
Okay, I'll try it again. I don't know why it's blinking, but
the only one that stayed live on the whole time is in Cousins Retreat.
And here's what I'm gonna do. I think Restream, keep this in mind, you're fired. This is the last time.
Yeah, for real. Yeah, we've had this issue with Restream. And I'm honestly, I wasn't a fan of Restream.
Yeah, I don't know why it's but see, StreamYard changed, and I tried to use a different platform and it's still acting crazy. So I gotta I do know that Restream, they say, is the better one, but I don't know what's the deal. I don't know why.
Yeah, that was some real good stuff that they missed. So I'm just you want to just continue on or with the interview, or did you want to try to see if you could put it back live on your page?
It keeps popping into something else. I do apologize, guys, because this would have been amazing just to flow with whatever we're doing. But Kenny keeps texting me and telling me we're still live. Let me see how we're doing. Oh, it just came back up or something.
What?
It's like it's popping up something with the border. Uh-oh. Something went. I don't like Restream. Restream is really not doing me right.
Who's
Tim,
that?
Deborah, can you see me?
Yeah, I see you.
Well, how come I don't have all three of y'all on one page? Okay, forget it. Let's go back to the Zoom and we will have to. She said they can still see us. I don't know how, but she said it. But we can't see ourselves, so we can't respond to our audience, and that's the frustration.
Yeah,
Restream.
so, yeah, Restream, get it together, seriously.
The word's missing.
You bet.
No, they said they're on the live.
Mm.
A word is missing. They said, oh, she just got back. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, let's
Okay, so
continue.
good. All right, so we're gonna continue. Thank you for the correction. Again, just excuse us for our intermissions here and there. And again, we have a call out for people who want to help us out and who want to join the team. Come on, let's go. All right, so yeah, we're gonna continue. This is like the part 2 of my interview or my line of questioning for T. And just to kind of touch on a little bit of what we were talking about before this little mishap or I guess brief intermission, we were talking about self-esteem. We were touching on some things about that. And so what I wanted to ask you, because I know you mentioned in the book that there was someone special that helped you build your self-esteem at a very crucial time of your life.
Yeah.
She planted some seed and your self-concept had grown and began to develop. Tell us about that person.
Okay, I love her so much. Her name is Sister Betty Wesley. Sister Betty Wesley was an amazing gift to me. And I say that because I used to admire her. She just had this stature of a woman of God that just used to blow my heart away. So I started working with her in Citadel Hope Academy. I was a girl Friday, and then I went to be a sex education teacher, even though I was a virgin in my brain. In my brain, I was a virgin. Maybe not in my physical body of decision making, but in my brain, I thought I was a virgin. Well, I was teaching sex education, and while I was teaching, sometimes I would have to go to the office, and one day, well, many times she would always say, T, you look nice. But whenever she would say it to me, I would back my head like, no, Sister Betty, and I would feel so like you're not telling me the truth because I never saw what you're saying.
Wow.
One day I came out, I said, no, Sister Betty, and I bowed my head, and she said to me, don't you ever do that again. If I say you look beautiful, if you can't say thank you, say thank God, thank you, Jesus, say thank something. But you have to learn to love yourself. And then she said, listen, let me help you out real quick. She said, when you feel like you're not beautiful, go ahead and throw some makeup, put some perfume on, dress up a little bit. Do something for yourself to make you feel that you're beautiful. And then she started talking to me and encouraging me. Oh, as a little girl, as a young lady, you know, when your menstrual comes, those are the days you feel really low. Go put more perfume on, nicer clothes, do your hair a little bit more vibrant, and that will pick up what you feel about yourself. And then she said, but when I tell you you look beautiful, I want to hear that only. Thank you, Jesus. Thank God, or something. And she said, then look in the mirror. And I want you to look in the mirror and say, I am beautiful. I am worthy. I'm worth it. I'm gorgeous. She said, if you can't do it at first, keep trying it until you can actually look at yourself. See, sometimes there's something that the devil does, and he conditions our mind to see something that's not actually there. He will reverse what our eyes physically sees through our psyche by utilizing those words and those emotions and those different things that's pushed upon you to give you the contrary of what God said about you. Because what God says about you is you are highly favored. You are fearfully and wonderfully made. Those are the words that God says about us. So for my children, what do I say to them? You are who God says you are. I speak life. And since they were born, Deborah, you know, I would never take anyone calling them out of their name. And I condition them to know who they are and whose they are, because I didn't want them to have that heavy weight of feeling ugly, of feeling invaluable. So I felt I gotta take what Betty said to me and put it into them. Then I took my father's words and my mother's at times, their contrasting words, and I put it away in the deepest part of me, knowing that I would never let it come into my life, my children's life. And I gotta start with the man that walks in T's life. So on our wedding day, the first thing when we knew we was married, even though it was before. No, it was after I married. After we got married that day, I said, promise me you will never call me out my name. I said, promise me you will love me, never disrespect me or hit me. Now, mind you, we had this talk before, but this was real because we finally made this decision this time, right? To this day, been married almost 18 years. I've never been called out my name. I've always been reverenced and respected, never been smacked, never been told off to the degree where I want to hurt somebody. Y'all know what I'm talking about. And I said, baby, listen, and even if we're upset with each other, let's do this. Let's promise that we'll walk away. We'll go breathe and talk about it. Then come back and deal with it together. Not in front of the kids, not screaming and hollering. And I thank the Lord because he allowed this man to honor my request. But God put those seeds in me as a child, though the enemy was trying to give a counteracting seed of oppression, depression, and emotional trauma. The enemy was trying, but he didn't know the God that I served, because when we went to church, what did that give us? Seeds of wisdom of what God's word really says. So which one you going to lean on? You're going to lean on what so now you're going to take the attributes of what your father did, or you're going to take the attributes of what the word of God says. And I know I just went a little deeper than the question when you asked me before, but I really see this thing, and even with this emotional thing, and we say psychologically, this is also spiritual. The devil does not want us to go and get into our fullness. So he wants to do everything like he did with Jesus and try to destroy him before he even was out of the womb of Mary. He said, what was it? The king to go kill all the firstborn boys. That was all. Because he knew that there was greatness coming and he had to locate the greatness. But here's the thing about God. While you thinking the enemy's been working on you, God's been doing something else. That's why he puts him amongst Sister Betty's. You see? He puts us amongst to hear the word of God so that you gravitate to what God says. If you don't really get that right word, you won't have anything to combat the negative. Am I wrong? I think I'm right with that. If you don't get another word that contradicts the bad word, you'll gravitate more to the words, to the bad, more than you'll gravitate to the good, because you don't have extreme exposure to me.
You don't have anything else to go off of. So I just want to say, I love Sister Betty Wesley too. I'm grateful that she planted those seeds. So wherever Sister Betty you're watching or you watch later, we love you. We thank you, because you know what? That's what it's about. And I want to hear more stories of that. Like, it's so important to just take a moment to see somebody and see what the need may be. And you never know what the impact could be on them for years later. And you like,
when you see them, it's important to speak life into them. And what I'm noticing is in this conversation tonight, the reoccurring thing that I'm hearing is the power of the tongue. The power of words. Words are seeds.
Yes, yes.
We have the power and the ability, whether we realize it or not. The smallest thing of saying, I appreciate you, is a seed.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
Thank you is a seed.
Yes.
You're beautiful is a seed. And so we have that ability to plant that little thing, because you can change someone's life by what you say. Again, life and death is in the power of your tongue.
Absolutely.
So that is that's the reoccurring thing that we got going on tonight, just acknowledging the power of our words. And even when it comes to naming your children.
There you go.
The power of the word, even in a name, what you say, what you speak over your child, you're planting a seed.
Yes.
If you call them dummy, you're planting a seed of them feeling dumb and insecure.
Yeah.
If you plant the opposite, smart, intelligent, beautiful, wow, you make them feel just that way, just by what you say.
Timmy, you're so right with that, because my mom said, you're gonna get educated. My father felt as though I was not as intelligent as my oldest sister.
Mm-hmm.
He felt I wasn't, well, he didn't say the best things about me, but he didn't really talk real nasty to me directly. But I knew that he thought I was not as intelligent as my oldest sister. And he was shocked when I went to college. He was like, yo, T, I never thought you'd do something like that. Because I wasn't the one that he raised up and praised. But my mama said, oh, you're all going to college. And the very one he praised, but the very one she told all of us, we all did it, because that's what he said. We had
and
to
you
do.
know what? And I have a similar story. It's just history repeating itself, because we have T has a big sister, even though we're all sisters. T has a big sister that they grew up together. Then I have a big sister that we grew up together. And I guess I was the rambunctious, wild kid, a little bit, bouncing off the walls or whatever the case may be, a tomboy or whatever, but I wasn't paid attention to. So when I graduated college, I was told on my graduation day, as I graduated with honors, I didn't know you was smart. I knew Priscilla was smart.
Oh my God, wow.
You know what my mother said? My mother was so upset, and she said, Lawrence, where have you been? Why would you say that to her? She was so hurt, based on how my face dropped. It's like an insult and a compliment at the same time, but it's more an insult, because it is also a reminder of how, we weren't paid attention to, because I wasn't gifted and talented, my T. I mean, I was winning awards left and right. I was on a debate team. I know this show isn't about me, but the whole thing is that there is identification with a lot of this book. Really, I can relate to, because a part of it overlaps in my own life and my own life.
But here's the thing: we're part of the same generation.
Exactly.
So the book is about us. I mean,
the book is about us, it's about our generation.
Absolutely.
And a lot of ways it's our coming of age too, because the same village that raised T, the same village that impacted T, the same village that may have loved or mistreated or mishandled T, they were taking care of us too.
Absolutely.
So, you're going to find some overlaps. You're going to find some times where I'm like, oh my God, I went through the same thing, because we're a family. We're a family. We was also raised in the same generation with the same, came from the silent generation, and then it was the baby boomers, and they gave birth to us, which is Generation X. That's another story. Which I'm proud of.
No more.
But there's so much. Generational curses no more. There's so many commonalities, and things like that. So the things that you say to your children and the things that you say to the children and young people around you, they don't have to. It takes a village to raise a child. So because of some of the things that were said to me that was so negative and derogatory, speaking for myself, I believe that just everything happens for a reason, because that made me more intentional and conscious of how I treat people. I'm so intentional about planting seed in people. I'm so intentional about speaking life. I'm so intentional about a child that takes on any type of interest or something. I want to help pour into them. If they like art, let me get them an art gift. If they like this, I'm so in tune and conscious, and I'm not quite sure if I would have that level of consciousness and intention if I hadn't been so ignored or feeling invisible, or or dealing with abuse verbally and all these other things that was going on in an environment of abuse, where I felt unseen, unheard. My mother was unseen and unheard. So I was unseen and unheard. So it was so many things that was trickling into that I believe that as the little Deborah grew up into the older one, I made a commitment to the older one that I would do things different. So that's what we need. We need to learn from some of the things that we have experienced and witnessed. And let's be a part of the solution instead of being a part of the problem.
And become to others what you wish someone would have been to you.
Exactly.
Become that. Become that.
That's what happened.
Absolutely. Do it differently. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Thank you for that, Tim. And you know what? It's a saying that says, be the change that you seek in the world.
Yeah.
Be the change that you seek in the world. And you know what? This all ties in because I was talking to my mother before she went with God, before she passed away. And I was telling her how hurt and how distraught I was about all this abuse that was allowed to happen. Like what happened to my cousin, what happened to you, what happened to my aunts, my uncles, why? And you know, through many, many years of constantly crying out about that and suppressing my own trauma and things that I've been through, the abuse that I've experienced. And then one day it just came out so strong and powerful. And she said, do something about it.
Yeah.
That's what my mother, Audrey LaNier, said.
Wow.
And that's one of the reasons why I'm here. That's one of the reasons why that's a part of my purpose, and to be able to be a part of someone's healing and liberation and protection and safe havens and safe spaces. My mother told me to do something about it.
And that's what you're doing now. Right now, you are doing something about it.
And that's what you're doing, T. And that's what you're doing, Tim.
Absolutely.
Whoever told you, whatever it is, that gumption in you that told you that you want to be a part of the solution. You want to make sure that whatever you went through, you can cover somebody else so they won't have to go through it. That's God.
Yes, come on.
And God is love.
That's right.
And God is love.
Right.
It's that simple.
Simple.
That's it.
Wow. T, thank you. Oh my gosh, thank you for this platform. I'm so touched. Yeah, that was profound.
I'm gonna tell you something, Deborah, real honestly.
Wow.
You know that song is only God can do it. That song, this literally was not something I thought up years and years ago. I always had a book inside of me, but I didn't know how, when, where. You know how you get a vision, and you'd be like, when, and then you just forget about it. But when the Lord says do it, and now it's the time, and He opens up your priority to get it done. There is a purpose behind it. That's why you gotta, He said, run with the vision.
That's right.
So I want y'all that's out there that got something in your belly that God told you to do, get up and do it, because He will reposition your life for excellence in obedience. That's all I gotta say.
Absolutely. Thank you, T. Thank you, Tim. Man, listen, let me try to get through the rest of this interview. Woo, we got some stuff.
Hallelujah.
I know. Thank you so much. I wanted to sit there too, because that was a revelation and that was beautiful. And some people wonder how you can still love people that have caused these pain. I want to be very clear. I love my father, T. Love. We don't have to prove anything like that. However, our story and our truth is our story and our truth. And I want to encourage everybody, stop worrying. And I had to get that off my back too. Stop worrying about offending people at the expense of your freedom. I mean, at the expense. I'm sorry. Stop worrying about saving people's face, and stop worrying about protecting people's image, and stop worrying about what somebody might think about you if you expose somebody else at the expense of your own freedom.
Yeah.
At the expense of your own healing, at the expense of your own liberty, redemption, because you are overcome. You overcome by the word of your testimony.
Oh, there you go.
And we keep saying that because it's true.
That's right.
Every time we get in these spaces and we're talking about this stuff, I feel even more and more free, even more and more healthy inside, like spiritually, mentally healthy, because we have to have these honest conversations to get our breakthrough. So I want to encourage anybody, if somebody's hanging over your head, how somebody might feel if you talk about this, or how you might, you might hurt their feelings. Listen. Maybe you might want to go to a safe space, talk to a therapist. I'm not saying don't do it in good taste. Let God lead you to whatever way you want to do it. However, that doesn't mean you have to silence yourself for the rest of your life.
That's right.
That's bondage.
Absolutely.
Well, we don't deserve to be in bondage to prove how much we love a person. You can very well love a person and love yourself enough to be able to care to free yourself.
And Deborah, like we've been saying on past shows also, free people, free people.
Exactly.
So tell your truth so that other people can also be free. Like I said before, we have responsibility to die, not a physical death, but tell our story. Just telling our stories is a form of dying so that others could live.
So that others can live.
Absolutely, man.
Because we're being the example that some people wish that they had the boldness. And one day they may have the boldness. One day they may. One day they may. Definitely. So I'm going to right here we're going to try to get over not over but get through this interview. It's a lot. It's very intense. Let's back up a bit to your time spent with your uncles. Did you want to touch on that on pages 14 through 17?
Sure, I'm ready.
Okay, because what we first talked about, and I'm not sure if everybody grasped it because we had some technical difficulties, but we talked about the root, we talked about the origin, and just to put it in a summary, get the book for yourself. But T had talked about in the book how her older sister, or our oldest sister, had said that she had a boy part because her belly button was bigger than usual. And she told her to use her boy part and insert it into her private, so that was something that was the beginning of, I guess you would say, the sexual introduction, sexual urge, or whatever may have happened after that. And so now we're unpacking what followed that. So I just wanted to give people context of where it started for her and where we are right now in the book is a pretty intense part as well. And we're going to start on page 14. I had the best uncles. They would throw us up in the air and catch us. Now we were all living under one roof, and as children, we learn more than having fun. We become explorers. Here's the part of my life I have some difficulty expressing because I love my family. We just talked about that, right? And I don't like to offend and hurt anyone. So I'm going to skip up just a little bit. It all began at the tender age of 5, maybe sooner. So she explained the way the house was divided into 3 levels. And innocently, we were playing hide and go seek. At least that's what I thought. So my youngest uncle was excited and wanted me to hide with him. He grabbed me and pulled me into the large closet. So they were in the dark for a while, and skipping ahead, he puts his hand over my mouth, and this is on page 15 at the bottom. He puts his hand over my mouth again to tell me to be quiet. I was now getting bored. The weight was becoming irritating. Skipping past a little bit, the hand moved up my little thighs. He then began to fondle my private, and I asked, why was this happening? I'm going to see here because there's quite a bit information right here. So like I said, I want you to get the book. I want you to be able to read that chapter. That is an excerpt that's explaining T's experience with her uncles. The uncles all living in a home together. And I just want to, for context, just so everybody can be clear, T. In particular, you were 5 and your youngest uncle was around what age at this time when this happened?
10 and 11. 10 and 11.
Between 10 and 11. So these were kids that were playing, and they were basically being in spaces alone where the adults didn't witness these things. So let's pause there for a moment.
Okay.
You had been through quite an ordeal that took years for you to process, T. Let me remind the audience and everybody that's watching, this book is fittingly entitled Generational Curses No More. We touched on earlier about how the grandfather, the one we call granddaddy,
Yes,
had raped and molested, brutally raped and molested for years from the ages of 8 and 9. My mother and Tim's mother, our aunts. So our aunties, my mother Audrey, our mother Audrey, Tim's mother Teresa, and our auntie Denise were raped and molested from the ages of 8 and 9, all the way up to when they finally was able to escape the house as teenagers. And the boys were brutally abused. So I wanted to give this context and reminder because this is my question to T. Explain how you felt as an adult when you first found out that Roosevelt, The man that we called granddad, the man that molested and raped your mother starting at age 9 was the father of the very uncle that raped you. How did you feel when you put that together that had happened?
Well, we found out simply, all of us found out almost together, the season of our so-called grandfather's death. So on his funeral date, all of us found out. And we were like, oh my God, that's why we've been dealing with our parents and their weird, harsh, difficult personalities. We had no knowledge that our parents were molested and our uncles were beaten. And we dealt with drug abuse. We dealt with uncles that was struggling in so many areas, kept running up in jail, doing crazy stuff.
Bipolar, mental illness.
Mental illness. Our aunt was extreme and probably still to this day dealing with drug addictions. My mother, extremely erratic in so many ways. She dealt with a lot of psychological issues. As much as she loved Jesus, she had things that she needed to get fixed and didn't really work towards it because Jesus was the answer. And I'm not mad at that. I just think that we have come to the realization that it takes, yes, it is the Lord Jesus Christ, but when you have so many things that's in the past and you never, you're suppressing them, and then that comes out in various ways. So my Aunt Teresa had her, I'm saying names, but she had her own issues and things that we didn't understand it, but it was prevalent, it was there. When it came from, none of us could really define it until we found out. This man is dead. So let's just go a few months later. Timmy somehow got me, a few months before, Timmy had gotten me involved in Abundant Life Family Worship Church, where I'm in love with Bishop George Seabright and Pastor Mary. They are the best bishop and pastors in the world. Of course, I have them too. Love my pastor, Pastor McCarroll. I'm gonna give you a shout out because you are an amazing man of God, but I got to talk about where I come from. And I come from Bishop George Seabright and Pastor.
I love them too, by the way.
Me three, for real. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Pastor Mary texted me and told me something, and I'd be smiling when she texted me back, or say something on Facebook. But anyway, I just love them because Bishop was preaching one day, and he was like, the person that harms you, the person that, and he was talking about forgiveness, and he was basically saying the person that harmed you, he said, you know what you can do? You can say thank you because you gave me my testimony. So in that same season, my cousin, my beautiful cousin Star, I love my cousin Star, but she did something that seemed to be vindictive against me because I don't believe that she believed that Roosevelt would be that evil, because it caused extreme conflict to believe that the grandfather that your father comes from, out of all those grown kids my mother and my father have, your father comes from. Now, your first cousins are saying he did all this stuff to your aunties and uncles. So she had a difficulty with receiving that. So when my Uncle Robert got out of jail, and that was specifically for shooting Pastor so-and-so, the one that raped and touched my baby cousin and molested my baby cousin Timmy, right there, my handsome baby.
Yeah.
Pastor. I don't want to lose my thought getting all this extra stuff.
I get it. Go ahead.
But my uncle was in jail, and he had just came out that same day from shooting Pastor Bill. He served his time. He handled his business and did what he was responsible for.
He did his time. He got
out of jail. The first day he comes out of jail, what does my beautiful cousin Star do? Because she doesn't believe what I said. Because when I heard that Robert shot Bill for the same reason, and you did this to me all my life, it affected me all, that I started telling everybody because I wanted to rip him down. I was mad at Robert, okay? I purged on grandma, I purged on mommy, I purged on everybody. So now she's bringing them out. The first place she brings them is to my house. She wanted to see how I would respond, in my opinion. Now, we had to talk about this. So me and my baby, we talked about it. So she brought him to my house. And when she brought him to my house, I was jacked up because I hadn't seen him in 9 years. And I was jacked up because my revelation came 9 years before, when I was 19. So now I'm about to get met. Wait, I had left my my husband now. because I thought God took me away, but I didn't know God was bringing Robert out of prison to process me, to prepare me for marriage. So he's at my house. And the bottom line is, in a few days, and there was the holiday season. That same night when he left, I called Daniel, I called mommy, nobody answered but Daniel. Daniel freaked out. He said, "Cuz, let me call you back." He hung up the phone. Next thing I know, I get a call from Robert. Daniel called and told Uncle Robert, "Listen, I'm sorry, I'm saying names, he'll be all right. Everybody will be all right, because it's my truth." He told me, he said, "What you did to T was wrong. And I think you should handle it. I think you need to handle it." So the Lord allowed him the opportunity to come and talk to me. And that was in the Thanksgiving season. Now, here's the thing, while he's talking to me, I'm all I needed to hear is, "I'm sorry, and you didn't make it up." Because in my mind, I wanted to make sure I didn't create this thing, right, Timmy?
I get it. Yeah, absolutely.
And then all I needed to hear from him is that it wasn't made up.
Right.
So he said, "I'm sorry, you're right. I did that to you, and I'm sorry." But he said, what Bill did to because I talked to him about the whole depth of it. What Bill did to Timmy was an abomination. What I did to you, they did that in the Bible days. The uncle slept with the niece.
Oh, Jesus, help us.
God.
He did. The Spirit of the Lord shut my mouth, because what I needed, he gave me.
He gave the apology. Absolutely. Yeah.
Apology, and the foolishness after it didn't matter.
Right.
Okay, so then it dawned on me, wait a minute. I said, "Uncle Robert, you couldn't help what you did. You know why? Because it dawned, your father, wait, my mother, since that spirit was transferred from him to you. And as a child, because I didn't realize he was a child then. Y'all, I just realized he was a child 2 years ago when he came to my house in Tennessee. And I went off on God. Because all those years, I was mad at the fact that it was a big old grown man.
He was only a child himself.
He was only a baby. But it was like God illuminated me.
Right.
Him and my husband was talking and having, I know I'm going on deep end, but him and my husband was talking in my kitchen. I'll never forget this, 2 years ago. Do y'all know I was still writing that book? Mm. And they talking it, and my husband said, "Yeah, I'm 50, I think he was like 53, 54. And Uncle Robert said, "Oh, I'm 55, exactly 1 year older." Wow. Brain started calculating. Ran upstairs. I was tired, but I was screaming. What is this? It was a white key. And it's like a light bulb went up in me, even though I knew the deposit was from his father, and that's where the generational curse came from.
Absolutely, yeah.
But I didn't realize how young he was, because it worked my whole life.
Yeah.
At the age of 10, where do you learn that from? To learn that from somebody.
That's what I was saying about the beginning of the book, when you said about, because you're only 10 months younger than our oldest sister.
Yeah.
So the fact that she told you to stick your navel into a privates, and she's 5 and you're 4, that begs to differ. Something is not being told here. Something is not being said. Something is not being said. And the same thing, the line of logic of what you're saying, Tim, I agree. It's like a 10-year-old, where does he come up with these ideas? Where do they come up with these ideas to do that? It makes you feel like that they are not they haven't spoken their story. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And that's what it makes you think about. But this is the whole generational thing. And hopefully one day everybody, and I would hope that one day they feel free or comfortable enough to tell their story, because it really puts a light bulb on top of your head. Mm-hmm. Because we know, that the kids they come in innocent. They don't come in, as an infant thinking about doing these things. So it's like the kids, when they do things, it's repeated and learned behavior. They're like sponges. Mm-hmm. So
some people, know what, Deborah, we was talking earlier, it is learned behavior, and then there's something that, because remember the woman that was pregnant and in her womb was a demon inside the baby? Yeah. That's biblical. So the Bible says we are born into sin, shaped into iniquity. So we already come out ready to sin because we don't know that it's sin. which is challenged on depending on figuring out which one should I do, the good or the bad.
And the details of the sin. Like, come on.
So sin is always in us. So it could be that sin is just there. Because listen, when mommy got married, she was a 16-year-old girl. But she got married 10 months before. 10 months, 9 months after. 9 months after. Well, she was pregnant when she got married.
Mm-hmm.
Sin is in us from creation. It could be that something was exposed. I could be wrong. But I do know that God gave me clarity on that day he came to my house, that there was a generational demon that did that much to me for how long?
Yeah. And then mommy coming from a life of abuse and running into the hands of another abuser, that's profound within itself, because there was so many other places. It was like a something within her, or maybe a psychological thing, or maybe because, well, not maybe, but because of the trauma, that something within her attracted that same
I was about
abuser.
to say that. I was going to say, because what I'm learning, what I've learned.
And it's not sexual abuse from my dad. I want to be clear. I hate to cut you off, but I don't want anybody going off on tangents. Right. I'm not implying that my father did sexual abuse. What I'm saying is abuse. There's a broad umbrella. And for my father and his abuse towards my mother, that was verbal, emotional, spiritual, mental, and physical. Okay, he did not sexually abuse his children or anybody else that we know of, and I just want to be clear.
I've learned over the years that you attract who you are, or you attract what you, even though how can I say this? How can I say this? I want to be clear. You attract sometimes the thing that you sometimes resent the most, or am I making sense? Like that
happens sometimes. Like
yeah. And
it's like you're already coming from a broken or wounded space, and she was a baby. She was 16 years old. How can you pick the proper partner when you're 15? Right. Okay, so she was just trying to break free from the home where her stepfather was terrorizing and being tyrannical, abusing his wife, my grandmother Joyce, abusing his sons. Well, not his sons. I'm sorry, his stepsons. Let's be clear. Abusing his stepsons and raping and molesting his stepdaughters. So
but he also told mommy, boy, remember, he also told mommy, listen, I will pay for you to go to college if you don't marry Lawrence. This is Roosevelt. I will pay your whole college tuition. You know why? He wanted to finish continuing what he was doing.
Exactly. And she passed it up, and that's why, because God had a purpose for her and a purpose for her children to come into this earth. So here we are, and we ain't going nowhere. Okay. No, we're going to continue. I know, look, we're getting there almost to that hour, and Tim has some things to address as well. But let me say, T, with that knowledge, grew a conviction and commitment to end that generational curse, right? Explain what that actually looked like. And it's kind of what I was alluding to earlier, because we were talking about how there's 3-year-olds that are speaking their truths. Explain what that actually looked like in your life as far as parenting, the conviction and commitment to end that generational curse. How did that look?
Throughout my life, I had a weird way of doing things. I would compartmentalize things. I would say, this is what I'm taking into my life. This is what I'm not taking into my life. So I would watch everything my mom did, everything my dad did. I would say, this is how I want my life. And I don't know, I think I was doing that since I was a little girl. And the things that made sense to me was to start with my children, letting them know. Very important private things was no one touched my body. I was a little extreme from my family members who said that I was too much because of what I had been through. But I would whisper in my daughter's ears, I am the righteousness of God. I am beautiful, fearfully, and wonderfully made. I can do all things through Christ that strengthens me. And nobody touched my pride. I was extreme. And I went on and on for her to understand your body is God's temple. It belongs to you. You and mommy clean you up, and no one is to invade your space. She got it. She got it so good that by 3 years old, the enemy tried to come my way with my baby. Someone tried to harm my baby. My baby got in the car because I know her and she know me. And she looked at me, Mom, she said, I know you're gonna get, no, I don't even think she said, I know you're gonna get mad, Mom. She said, Mommy. I said, what is it, Cookie? Because I need to see what's in your eyes. I need you to tell me what Mommy thinks she's feeling. And she said, Mommy, this person tried to do da, right? We couldn't find my baby. I was always a hawk on my child. I made sure she didn't go to people's houses. You ain't spending the night nowhere. I don't care who they are. Mother, sister, cousin, but I just didn't care. You ain't going to be, while I'm at the house, ain't no closed doors you going in to. I don't give a 2 cents. My daughter, I was such a hawk with her. And even Mary Tiana, I'm still the same way to a certain degree. I have become so relational to my children that they're confident enough to let me know if something went wrong with them. So at 3 years old, God gave that little girl the courage to speak up for herself. And guess what her mommy did? Nip that joker in the bud. It will never go past to violate my child. And I prayed over her. I put her under the blood of Jesus. I rebuke any spirit that would try to overtake who she is, because she is who God says she is. Mm-hmm. So I did it different. But I was very open about the abuse that happened to Mommy. I didn't tell them the details, because you can't tell your children that. But you let them know somebody hurt Mommy. And so Mommy is very protective of you. If you don't speak to our children, listen, it didn't even stop there. Absolutely. That man that I love so much, his name is LaNier-Mckinnie. Oh, he got the 3rd degree. Listen, I love you and all this kind stuff. And my mother and them think you're great. And you're good for me to marry. But guess what? I got a little girl. Don't ever. Please don't. Because if you do, we don't. Okay. Stop giving it to me. I remember when I was Cookie. And I was in my mother's house, grown woman with a baby straight out of college, right? Mm-hmm. I sat Sammy down, Mutu, and Maliki. I said, let me tell you something. I don't trust no man. I love y'all, but if you ever think and that demon come to talk to you to touch my baby, I said, run, because I might hurt you. I might kill you. I put fear in their heart because I knew I had to rely on my mother to be in her house. And she had all these boys in that house. Right. So I nipped that puppy in the bud. Right. And to this day, they respected my baby and respect my babies. Mm-hmm. Because if you don't, see, listen, I come from a world where there were no perimeters. And I say perimeters, there were some perimeters, but there wasn't always people watching us and really watching who was who. And we got all these family members and everybody good in the family. Just because they family don't mean they're good blood, right? Exactly. And you trust all these babies to sit on these uncles' laps. Like Kevin said a couple of weeks ago. He said he wouldn't even let little girls or little boys sit on his lap because of what he had been through. And he wanted the mothers and the adults around him to trust him because of his insecurities of what happened to him as a child. So he didn't even want to appear evil. The Bible says shun the very appearance of evil.
That's right.
So if you don't put these measures, you need one door for the devil. Y'all better take care of these kids better. Better stop leaving them at the enemy's feet and saying, do what you want to do. You better protect them, help them learn how to guard themselves.
Hey, what I appreciate is the fact that I'm hearing, and I know this already, that you instill self-worth within your children. You know what I mean? Because when you practice that and give them the language, or you put that thing in their head to make them feel worthy within themselves, you help them to not submit to the predator, so to speak, because they know that they my
know
body is the temple. Absolutely.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
So, Timmy, even the boys that liked my little daughter,
Mhm.
they said, "Oh, you pretty." She said, "I know. My mother told me that." My father told me that.
Right.
Girl, what you doing?
She did say when she was younger, she said, I know. And T, did you touch on when she was 3 years old and she told you that somebody had improperly? Okay. Yeah, because exactly. I don't know, the phone, I mean, it went in and out, so I wasn't sure. But yeah, that's one of the stories that I'm encouraged by that. I'm encouraged by the fact that she was able as a toddler to say that somebody had touched her. I mean, I'm hurt and I'm saddened that she had experienced that. However, but the fact that she was able to speak on it, that she felt comfortable enough to speak on it, I'm like, wow, there were weird things happening when I was her age to me, and I never mentioned anything until I was freaking almost.
Because I let her know that's her space.
Right.
I'm biting my tongue. It's hurting me so bad. But that's why I'm talking too fast. I'm just killing myself.
It's her space, and no one has the right to violate her space.
Nobody has the right to.
No one has the right to violate her space.
Right.
Absolutely.
But you in this day and time you live in, we have to teach them that. You can't just hope they think or figure it out one day.
Right.
Exactly.
Right.
And you're responsible. Listen, I love my mother, but at some point, God left her responsible because she didn't properly prepare us.
Yeah, we were kind of talked at, and instead of being talked to, talked at, or talked around things, and they didn't have at all the proper tools of communication.
And language, right? Absolutely.
They did not have the proper tools.
And Deborah, in addition to what you all went through in your home, our families, they trusted our church. They trusted them enough to say, "Y'all gonna be okay," because we are in church.
Exactly. Because you learning about God, these people of God, and they gave you so much trust and faith based on the title. Just like aunts and uncles had the trust and faith based on the title of aunt and uncle. Just like grandparents that violated, or whoever violated anybody that's listening, none of these people ever had the right or authority over you just because of their title or because of their position or anything. I mean, for your children, for your grandchildren, for your nieces, nephews, and any child in your community, it does not matter what the person's title, their position, their rank is. And we were kind of groomed to have so much reverence for people.
Made them gods.
At the expense of ourselves.
Right. We made them gods.
Yeah, we made them into like demigods, like smaller versions of gods or gods themselves. So this is something to look out for if you find that there's that twinkle in your child's eye about somebody being so amazing and so powerful, whatever. Check that at the door, because nobody's better than anybody, first of all, no matter what their title or rank is. And we can't be worshiping people and putting them on pedestals. Right. Because God, that space belongs to God and God alone. So I feel like the indoctrination has something to do with it, as well as the whole we don't talk about what's happening, because we had said earlier, we mentioned and we reminded ourselves that our grandparents are from what's called the silent generation. So they raised the baby boomers. So that explains a lot as to why everybody was like in silence. And so, but no more. So look,
is that the next question? Why they in silence?
Well, actually, we can go there if you want. I had another question. You want to talk about why? You want to elaborate on that?
Go ahead.
No, we can elaborate. Let's talk. We can sit there for a second.
I think you posed this question similarly to me earlier. And it was big. And why do we keep silence? And it's generational. Why is it generational? It started with way back in slavery that I can recall. If you really think about why we keep things secretively, because guess what? When the women were getting pregnant by the white men, they couldn't really tell. They couldn't really talk about it. When they were getting beaten and raped and all this, you couldn't really tell. Like, it was taboo to even say that she was married to a Black man in slavery days.
And T, thank you for bringing this up, because this is a bigger thing than family. This is cultural.
Absolutely.
We were actually, because it was the spirit, or they were using fear tactics all the time. And we were actually suffering in silence as a people,
You
like
can-
for a long time.
yeah, yeah.
For a long
And
time.
even when it comes to this is going to sound weird, but even when it comes to, the talk, we say the Black persons talk to their sons and they tell them, listen, before you go, we never really exposed that to America as a culture. And I know this is a little bit off of the topic, but we never exposed that talk to the culture until the culture recognized how much hell they caused us to even have the talk, right? So you have this method that's been used in the Black family, but it's a secret hush hush that's not really given, but you'll see that it may be reflected in some of our Black men who get pulled over by the police. I know it sounds a little bit off, but I'm connecting it in the sense that we keep our mouths closed because we think it's going to protect us. We think we have all of these reasonings behind it, but it is such a cultural effect that it's overlapping in so many of our everyday duties.
And-
Such a wonderful point to bring up. Such a wonderful point to
And
bring up.
we keep,
weird, but it's like, think about it. Those
Yeah.
secrets kept in the home. Listen, when you go to college, you better be the best. You better be the top of your class. You better look the right way. You better, and those were secrets kept in the home because we wanted to appear to have it together.
Come on now, T, come on.
and because of the shame and embarrassment of it.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
And
So-
especially,
Taboo.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, especially, I mean, I'm not comparing, but I know for men, especially, and because I'm a man, I can speak about men who have been violated by other men. You know how shameful that is?
Yeah.
Because you have another man who's doing things with his body parts to another man, a boy. So who wants to publicly talk about that?
Yeah, because
That's a whole different layer. So
Absolutely.
that's a whole
Absolutely.
different layer.
Absolutely, man. Yeah, and again, and the reason we've been silent is because the shame of all of that, the shame and embarrassment of all of that.
Yeah.
And I'm just so proud of you that you're even able to have this conversation, Tim, because we're touching on so many layers, like culturally, gender, all those different dynamics, and all that stuff plays into everything. So for him to be bold enough to be here, I'm grateful. It's so many men that have been through this who are suffering silently. And let me just say this, because the truth is that the predator that abused my cousin Tim, that raped him when he was a child, Timmy is not the only one, right?
Absolutely not.
And we know that there are young boys, Brother Bill's boys, or people that he had around him through the years, generation after generation, and people are starting to come out little by little. People that are even way older than Tim. I'm talking about a generation above him or two. So then there's been a wide range of young boys who grew into men. And I want Tim to piggyback off of this too, because I feel it would probably be even more effective coming from you, but I'm sorry for what you went through. It's nothing that you asked or wanted to happen. Right. And when you ever want to share your story about what happened to you, you are worthy to speak on your truth. You deserve it. You deserve to speak on your truth.
Thank you, cousin.
And stop blaming yourself or possibly saying, or putting yourself down because of what the stigma is attached to that extra layer that a man would deal with by having a man violate you. I can't even imagine, because society is already going to look down on it anyway. So I just want to say to you, to anybody that may hear this later on, at any given point, look at Tim. He's an example. You don't have to worry about that. If you need somebody to talk to, if you need a safe space, again, it's not your fault what happened to you.
Cousin,
it's not your fault.
Never was.
Oh my God, you messed me up right now.
Never was.
But anyway, but to answer, to go, thank you, cousin. I really needed to hear you say that.
Jesus.
Lord have mercy.
There's so many people that want to say stuff and they feel like somebody's going to judge them. Somebody's going to look at them a certain kind of way. It's not your fault what happened to you.
And here's what I'm learning, man. And going back to the statement we made earlier, free people, free people. And so, what I'm learning is the more I have, the more I tell my story, as I already have, I'm learning again that people that were in our spaces went through the same thing. And the the beautiful but not so beautiful thing about that is that um uh they, oh my God, I just lost my train of thought. But I do know, and I'm learning that I was not the only one. And what I'm grateful for is that I did have enough courage to speak out. Because had I not said anything, I wonder how many of them would have.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? I wonder how many of them.
You led the way. It's like a trailblazer, and God has called you to lead, and God has called us to lead for this appointed time. So I just felt the need to say that because you did touch on something. And I'm like, you know what? It's so many elements. Like I said, it's a cultural, racial, society, generational, family, community, church, gender. It's so many layers.
So many.
And everybody, there's a space for your healing for everyone. There is a space for healing for everyone.
And you're worthy of the healing.
You're worthy of it, and you deserve it.
You deserve it.
Please, nobody, no judgment zone here, because it's not, you didn't ask for it. And you know what? Whatever that thought process was that was circulating when you were young, we understand, because T had mentioned that she felt, she blamed herself and thought she wanted it. You know, a lot of abuse victims do in their mind, because they're children. We don't know how to, we're not, like, first of all, our brain is not fully developed until what, 20 something, 21, 22, you know? So it's like, we were just like not given a shot to really develop naturally into who we are because of the violations that happened. And so our mind had played tricks on us about certain things. So just want to encourage you and tell everybody that you have a space for healing. And if you want it to start here, we're here for you. Wherever your safe space is, we're here for you. So I want to say this, T, so in the book, it took years for you to let anyone know what was happening to you. You didn't tell anyone until years later, not a parent, your church or family member, not your older sibling, a cousin or friend. I know you touched on this in the book, but my question is, why do you think that, we all touched on this in conversation, but in summary, why do you think that you didn't feel comfortable telling anyone about the abuse, especially when it would appear that you had so many support systems?
You know, and the support systems you're saying is church, possibly school, possibly my own mama. And what I realized is that it's going back to that, and while you was talking, embarrassment is one of the major reasons why. But I didn't really have it dawn on me that the terminology to what actually happened to me, and I write really in detail about this. I didn't know the terminology connected to me was the word rape and molestation. I went to college. I think I told this story some time ago. When I went to college, it was when I figured out through all the other testimonials of all the kids around me talking about it. And they're saying, yeah, I was raped and I was molested as a child. I'm like, whoa, and it's like a light bulb came on. And I was 19 years old, just went to my first year in college, right? First semester. And then that's the same semester that Bill was shot by Uncle Robert. That's crazy, right? So can you imagine with all of that, what's going on in my brain and my knowledge of it? And I literally sat my mother down. I came home. I think it was, no. I think within that year, things were happening. But it wasn't until I came home that summer following that first year that I sat my mother down, because now I know what happened to me. Now I can articulate it. Now I can identify it. Now I could really, it made sense, those terminologies. So I said, Mommy, can I just tell you exactly what Robert did to me? And I sat her down and I just told her my full story. I told her her blanket. I told her the curtains. I told her the scent. I told her everything that I would do to try to get rid of scent. When I tell you, and I wanted to hurt my mother with that information because I felt like you didn't protect me. You did not protect me. Your brother and I hope I'm answering the question. I think I'm just veering off somewhere else. But I really, really wanted her to hear. But what I will say, and Deborah, go back to your question, ask your question one more time, because I want to stay with where you are.
Yeah, I just wanted to know, like, as far as it would appear that you have so many support systems. So why didn't you feel comfortable telling anyone about this?
Because let me tell you something, it was just something that was taboo. The church never discussed incest or any type of violations or abuse or nothing. So where were you going to have that real safe place if everyone acting perfect? Everybody looking amazing. Everybody like this, just what? Even when we went to church, ain't nobody know my mother was getting beat the world out. They didn't know I had to grab doggone irons from my father and try to choke him, put him in the chokehold to prevent him killing my mother. There ain't no Sister Sandra would be screaming while he falling down the stairs and we trying to protect mommy from death. You know those things, because when we went to church, we looked amazing.
We looked amazing. And we sounded amazing, and we just appeared. We just learned how to put on that show.
We were so gifted. We were gifted. Don't forget that part. So yeah, we had all.
It just blinded everyone. So just what? If you're doing it, guess who all else is doing it? Every single family in this church. That's why
put on the show.
That's why they don't teach about it. They want you to think that when you come to Jesus, everything is perfect and okie dokie. Listen, God can give you mercy, He can give you grace, He can give you peace. But the only thing is, He really wants us to stop putting on this facade like we perfect. Literally, if we're going to say that the church and the house of God is the hospital, then you got to remember, sick people are coming every single day. They walk into that place. And if we're not finding solutions to their problems or issues, they're sitting here and they're doing nothing, looking the part, but not getting delivered.
Yeah, I have a question. Going back to what Deborah asked you about why didn't you, speak out about it? My question is, I wonder. Well, you can interpret this in a form of a question, but I wonder if you thought that you would not be believed if you spoke out about it, if you told anybody about it.
No. I don't think that. I think in.
Did that prevent you?
I was so afraid of my mother that it felt like I was doing something I wanted. I was being bad.
Oh, okay.
I want to be reprimanded because as a little girl, if the fruit is bitten, let me go there. If the doggone fruit is bitten, and a little boy, your eyes become open. There's something that happens and triggers when that sexual encounter happens. Right? And you're exposed. So all of a sudden that sin nature says, ooh, it kind of feels good and it kind of feels scary. And so you're toiling with your doggone self. You're toiling with yourself. No, I want this. So, and it's not that you consciously want it, but your body is yearning for something it's been exposed to. I was a little 4-year-old girl. Can I be honest?
A baby.
People of God, y'all know I love Jesus, but I'm telling my truth. I was a little 4-year-old, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10-year-old girl whose body thumped. If you a woman and a man, I think a woman more, because I can only speak for a woman, you know what thump means. When you desire something. So why in the world is my little girl body desiring something? If I had never been exposed to it to that degree, would never desired that much. And I would be by myself. I'm being honest. Let me break this down. I never did the, touching yourself. No. But God doggone it, I couldn't understand why I felt certain ways. I did. No one gave me an explanation why my body was now reacting to the exposure. So I felt like I wanted, and my mommy would beat me if I even indulged in something that was taboo or bad. It was clearly in my mind that I was doing something bad and I was going to get a beating for it. So that's my mind. And I didn't like beatings. Even though I took them for chamois, but
oh my God.
I took those beatings for Shanice because I knew my mother had a lot of pain and she just needed to release it. So I became her punching bag intentionally. I was a good kid. Go figure. Shanice will lie. Oh, Jesus, I'm saying her name. She will lie and lie. I'm looking on the face. Oh, no, she lying. And I would just say, I did it because I know it didn't matter that if she did it or not, if no one said they did it, both of us was getting our totos kicked up. We about to get it. So guess what I would do? I knew she just had this thing about her. She would do that. She knew I would take the fall. Because I just wanted my mother just to get that. Why such a young age? I just wanted her to get release from being, or get it out because she being abused. I just wanted her to get it out. So I was like, yo, go ahead, man, do what you got to. Oh, it was painful though.
That's sad. That's sad. That's sad. But that's where a lot of, and I can relate to some of that. And that's where a lot of children who are raised in abusive environments, they even said the psychology behind it is if your parent or your father specifically abuses your mom, it's almost as if they may well have been doing it to you. That's the impact that it has on your psyche, the trauma, the fear, the anxiety. That all rolls into you because I lived the experience of being scared to go to school because I thought my mother would be killed. So, it's all of that stuff is like it's pressing on your psyche. It's a cycle of abuse and generational curses no more. That's why we're here. And we're going to wrap up this with 2 more questions, very important questions I cannot skip through for this episode. But I want to ask you, looking back, what are your thoughts on how family and community responded to physical and sexual abuse in those days? Now, I know you spoke about it, but if you could just tell me, like in a summary, what's your thoughts about how they responded to abuse in those days, looking back?
Well, looking back, they did nothing but sweep abuse under the rug. It was taboo to talk about. So that's what they did then.
And so now, what are your thoughts on how the church responds to physical and sexual abuse in church today? So
you ready for this one? Okay.
I'm ready.
So there is still a stigma attached to sweeping it under the rug. But here's the thing. We have a generation that's out of blood right now. And this generation have so many amazing tools at their fingertips.
Fearless.
If the Bible says in these days, knowledge will become like, you just can grab knowledge quickly, right? This is the day, we're living in that day. So here's the thing. Today, the pastors are now being outed, right? And when they get outed or they get exposed, they say something simple as a pastor we see on Facebook. He just said, oh, I just committed adultery. For the last 20 years, I've been sinning against God. So the whole church starts to clap, ooh, you're admitting your sin. And then the young lady gets up on the stage and say, we're going to make this right. You've been raping and molesting me since I was 16. The only reason why I'm talking about it is because I just got married. And my brother came to me and said, I have to tell you something that I saw when I was about 10 years old. He said, I saw you in bed with Pastor.
Oh my God.
And it's been bothering me my whole life. So she got up right behind the pastor who said he'd been in adultery for 20 years and said, no, you've been raping me. I've been keeping it from the church family. I've been keeping it from this. So what's happening in our generation now? This generation says no holds barred. I'm not keeping that information anymore. I'm exposing you. So guess what? Even those that are dead and gone, God is revealing. He's revealing. And now not only is revealing, he says that I don't care what nobody said, because I had a pastor come and tell me not too long ago that no, God ain't really going to get us for the sins of the father will fall on the sons. Yes, it will. Guess why? Because in our community today, just this day, it's a huge church. And I want to call a name, but I won't. But the pastor, who is the son, has been going back and forth to court being sued because his father, who died in 2000, was raping boys in 1980 and through 1990s and through the 2000s till he died, right? Little boys, right? So now, he did not handle the situation the way that he should have in that time. So now things are catching up with these leaders. Now, I'm not trying to destroy the kingdom of God. I'm trying to get us in a position where we can fall on peace and ask the Lord for forgiveness. These people we've harmed for forgiveness and get ourselves together. There are too many souls going to hell because we're not doing right by the kingdom of God. We're not increasing strong soldiers. As a matter of fact, we're contaminating them. We're not only contaminating them, we're literally poisoning them. And then we want to get their minds to not eventually think about it and then react. But this is a different generation. So I believe they still sweeping it under the rug, right? But guess the difference. This generation saying, not today. I'm not leaving it alone. I'm not letting you get off with this. As a matter of fact, it ain't even those kids, it's God turning the tables and exposing. It is his duty. It is what God is doing. And guess what? If we press toward the mark of the higher calling in Jesus Christ, we will achieve something in our society today by exposing the wrongs and elevating what's right in the kingdom of God. We have to make a difference, man.
We have to, PLT, because I feel like for far too long, all of this stuff, all of this has made God look bad.
Yeah.
You know, even though he's still God, but as representatives of him and people that have been leading people in his name,
yeah,
through all of this foolishness, it has put God in a position of having a bad rep.
Yeah.
And it's not cool, man. You know, it's not cool. My prayer, my hope is that we can go from turning the generational curses into generational blessings.
Yes.
That is my prayer, man.
Generational wealth, generational
Absolutely. Let's flip it, man. Let's flip it.
Generational prosperity. Yes, generational healing. Generational healing. Yes.
Be proactive. And that starts with working on the generation today.
Yeah,
exactly.
Today. Because yesterday, we kind of messed up, y'all. We messed up because they messed us up, and day before them.
Absolutely.
Everybody messing up each other, but we have to do something.
It has to stop now.
Yeah, learned behavior. A lot of what we have done is because it's learned behavior, and we have got to learn something new now and teach something new now.
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. So we are all committed to that, and we know we may have had some quite a bit of technical difficulties. This did not stream live. Most of it did not stream live. But when you do see this, we're going to share this recording because this is a very powerful episode. I definitely want everybody to be able to view this. For whatever reason, it wasn't meant to stream live at this time. However, the right people are going to see this video and hopefully be empowered, feel encouraged, or maybe feel compelled to plant some good and positive seed in your neighbor, plant some good and positive seed in a child or anybody that you see that you cross ways with, or someone that looks up to you, and make a commitment to be intentional about being a part of the solution, which is really just comes down to love. That's really what it comes down to. It comes down to that. And God is love, and we have to show that. And you know, that means that we're not contributing to other people's pain and trauma, not intentionally. And we have to work out our own self so that we can be better for the collective. But let's be serious about the work we got to do for ourselves, and let's continue to heal. Thank you again, T. I'm so grateful to be here in this space. And again, like I said, we're going to share this. We're going to keep rocking out. And Tim, you're awesome. You're great. Thank you for the wonderful dialogue. Thank you for your courage, for your boldness, for your strength, for your heart, for your love, for your wisdom. I am so grateful that God has us in this space together. We are growing, we're healing together, and we're being a support for each other. So T, thank you. Thank you. It was a pleasure to have this opportunity to talk about your book.
I know I was struggling with talking and bite my tongue a couple of times. But I will say thank you so much. I appreciate you guys. Your support is amazing. But I really believe that God made this spiritual connection. And I believe that he's going to take it where we're going to be like, oh my God, it is literally too big for us. But God is going to give us everything that we need to go to that next level. But I do want to say this, that
Absolutely.
I know there's a lot more questions from the book that people have.
Yeah, that's just the beginning. We got more into
we can do another format on this, but we definitely want to see you back here. Don't forget, people, we are on every other Thursday. So today's date is what, the 11th? So exactly 2 weeks from today, we're going to maintain our Thursday, every other Thursday nights until God says if he needs us to get more, we get more, or if we get less, we get less. No matter what in between, we'll be doing things on our YouTube channel, which is LaNier-Mckinnie Enterprises. You just type it in and it'll definitely come up on YouTube. You can check out our Facebook constantly. We also have, and that's the Facebook Live, which is at Letitia LaNier-Mckinnie, Letitia LaNier. Letitia McKinney, that's my Facebook Live, but then I also have LaNier-Mckinnie Enterprises, that's on Facebook Live as well. The same time it'll be happening with so many other platforms. So just be looking out for us. You can even just put my name in, put the name of the book, and you'll be able to get the information. I just want you to know that, and I'm gonna reiterate what Deborah said in the beginning, we need you to do a couple of things, and that is to help us get the word out. What do they call it when you are sending your stuff? The more people that
the algorithm,
yeah.
Algorithms begin to pick up, and what Facebook does is say, oh my God, they're getting a lot of people towards them. Now they're gonna send more to them, and you don't know whose life you will be affecting if you share it on your page, if you like it, if you comment. All of those things are necessary. I never really understood the importance of it. I would like a lot of people's things and stuff like that, but I didn't always comment. And now I've been more clear on why, because it helps people get to be seen and their message to be given to the person. And you never know whose life you can change, who needs the help. It could be your own mother who's suffering because she didn't handle you right. And now she just needs some information on how to do better, how to talk to you. We're so excited about the major things that God has coming up the pipelines, and we just want you to be a part of this and help us out to get someone delivered in Jesus' name. And thank you so much for being a part of the Talk Storm. You have a blessed evening.
Thank you so much for joining. I'll see you soon. Peace.